Yeah. Uh, Hello, everyone, and welcome to our longevity in the UAE webinar. Today we have almost 400 registrations in Zoom. That doesn't mean that we will see everyone online today, but that means that we have a very big interest from the community. Also, we are recording the webinar. We are going to make the recordings available on YouTube, and we will provide the links to the recordings to all the people who registered, and we'll publish the recordings on the LinkedIn. So everyone who registered and who wanted to join us this hot summer day in the UAE will be able to see it. I could say also that longevity has been a very interesting topic recently, and maybe not recently, but for the past 10 years, and it's going to be more and more hot topic in the future because the population is getting older and we're already living in the silver economy, and we expect like what is called silver economy tsunami, which means that the population in every country is getting older, and we need to find the solutions to understand how we should live in this era and what are the uh, key trends that the governments are making. And UAE has been one of the advanced countries, one of the also really advanced countries, Switzerland. So that's why we have two speakers from Switzerland today. My name is Anastasia Lead. I'm moderator of the webinar. I represent Techpharus. We are a media and analytics agency devoted to the healthcare industry worldwide, but with a specific focus in the GCC market. So we provide proprietary and open access analytics. I would like to say that we are going to publish Longevity in the UAE magazine in September, featuring key leaders and leading companies. And if you would like also to be featured in the magazine, please find me on LinkedIn or find us on the web. We'll be happy and with strategy and business management strategies and so on. So today we have Longevity in the UAE webinar. Here is our agenda. We will start from Marwan Abdulaziz, who is Senior Vice President of Dubai Science Park, Dubai Knowledge Park. He will tell us about the different possibilities for the longevity companies in Dubai Science Park. Then we will follow with Professor Dominik Thor. He's President of Geneva College of Longevity Science, Dr. Sanja Tomovska. She has yet some technical issues, but we hope that she will join us. She's CEO of Client Biomarkers, as well as leading a different, like board member of different longevity startups and companies, and the venture partner of few venture capital funds. Dr. Zulya Maizetova, she's longevity clinics advisor and a very famous speaker and different international longevity conferences. Dr. Khadija Alawi will be speaking about in silica medicine current news and what they have achieved so far. And also we have Dr. Mazin Gadir. He will speak about healthcare trends. So we have quite an interesting gathering. We have many doctors today, so I hope everyone is interested. The first speaker is Marwan Abdulaziz, Senior Vice President of Dubai Science Park, Dubai Knowledge Park, and Dubai International Academic City. He's speaking about the Dubai Science Park opportunities for the longevity industry. So Marwan, the floor is yours. Happy to hear your speech.
Thank you. Thanks, Anastasia, very much for this opportunity. It's really great to see so many people interested in this topic that is not only trendy, but also something that we need to come to terms with and be able how to kind of deal with it and define it in our own scope, whether we are in healthcare, we are in pharmaceutical, or we are in even research, because it's one of the topics that it touches many facets of the industry. Um, I think for us, especially with my role as I look after Dubai Science Park and Dubai Academic City that has more than 30 universities, over 35,000 students, again, studying different areas from biomedical engineering to medicine, entrepreneurship, psychology, etc. There is again a lot of interest in longevity, and I think the numbers only shows that people are living longer. But what is important for all of us to discuss here is, we want to live longer but healthier. And the key to that is really to learn more about ourselves, about our bodies. We're all individual, we're all unique. So we need to understand better about who we are, and also how can we be more preventative. For example, if we have a family history of diabetes, then how do we make sure that, for example, we or our children don't get it, so that we are not a burden on the healthcare system. And this is, quite a big topic, and I think it's something that one segment or one part of the industry will not solve it by itself. It's one of those things that we really need collective effort, and we all need to work together, uh, from academia to hospitals to research, and industry as well. So I am excited again to be part of this. In Dubai Science Park, we have a couple of companies and also a few clinics who are active in the longevity space. And our role is to, be that facilitator for companies to come set up their company and grow their business from a startup who is a one-man show to a large company to a research company. We are home to more than 500 companies. So we have been doing this for a long time, and we have along the way learned a lot of things about how business is done. We have built really very good connections with the sector, and we not only provide facilities, but we provide also know-how, connections, network, and it was very good to be hosting the Geneva College of Longevity last February with Dominik, and I think the turn up was just a testament to how there is a very, very strong interest, not only in the UAE but in the entire region. Obviously, our partnership will continue, and we look forward to hosting the event again, probably in Q1. More details to be shared on that. But from my side, I think it's a very exciting time, especially that there is a lot of focus on research with the launch of the Research Development Innovation Grant, RDI Dubai. So please look it up, RDI Dubai. You will see that there are specific areas, and longevity is one of them. Grants that are available for PhD students and professors. So we are, calling upon researchers to basically, put their minds together and do research on what would it be to live longer, what do we need to do, what are the measures that we need to take. So if you're a startup or a scientist, there is grant money available as well in Dubai. Or if you're someone who wants to scale up and is looking for investors, there is a lot of VCs and family offices as well who want to support. And obviously, we are the connector of everyone. So definitely count on us. We host events all the time. We have one coming on the 18th of June, and then we will resume with the season in September. So if you're in town, come and see us and speak to us, and we'll be more than happy to support.
That's
That's
amazing.
it from my side, and maybe we can have a bit of discussion with the panelists after everybody's presentation.
Sure, we'll have Q&A session later. after all the sessions, and also could say that's amazing news. We'll be happy to share information about your developments and on our LinkedIn page. And that's great. If also said that our chat is live, so you can pose questions to our speakers, and we'll be happy to pose them after the session. So we'll not waste time yet. Okay, so meanwhile, happy to announce our next speaker. It's just a second. Yeah, so our next speaker is Dr. Dominik Thor. He's professor and president of Geneva College of Longevity Science, professor of pharmacy and visiting professor at Karol Wojtyła University of Medicine and Pharmacy. And his topic is defining the role of longevity physicians in modern healthcare. So Dominik, the floor is yours. Happy
Thank
to hear
you.
you.
Thank you so much for having me today. It's a pleasure to be here and to reconnect with friends like Marwan, and who rightly mentioned that we did a great event in UAE. And I have to say that if I had to pick one place in the world which I think is the probably the truest longevity hub at the moment, then it would be the UAE, because there is just so much interest, and that interest is not just from the patient side. It's the clinicians that want to, improve their game to provide a more and better preventative kind of healthcare, and then there is also the regulatory side of things, which still is a problem. I'm not naming anybody, specifically, but of course, when you look towards Europe, where we generally have a very good healthcare system, I think this makes people believe that we don't have to improve further. Whereas in other parts of the world, you see that the governments, the regulatory officials, they have a more, well, I wouldn't call it liberal, but a more future-orientated approach to things. And this, of course, is helpful for such a new field as longevity medicine or longevity science. It's not exactly the differences, but I'm very happy to discuss them a bit here today. So let me share some slides and we go through them. I will do so quickly because I know time is limited. Let me So I hope you can see my screen now. So defining the role of longevity physician, I think it's relevant to this discussion today because there are just so many longevity clinics popping up and already in existence in the UAE. And we are very proud to welcome a lot of students. More than 50% of the students doing the master's degree are doctors. And I think the largest influx that we have are doctors that are active in the UAE. So it's something. It's a place where I enjoy to go. I've been to Dubai, I think, 3 weeks out of the last 3 months, so quite frequently now. But let me start by shortly introducing who we are, because not maybe everybody knows about the Geneva College of Longevity Science. So essentially, it's the very first institute or academic institute that focuses on longevity science entirely. So that is all we do. And we are set up in Geneva and we are following Swiss academic guidelines. We currently offer an executive master's program. So that is a 1-year master's program for people that have an academic background. They don't need to be doctors. Truth is, of course, many of them are, but we also have investors, regulatory experts, researchers, and other people from different backgrounds that have an interest in the field and want to work in there or already do have a profession in the vicinity or adjacent industries. We also just started with the continuing medical education program. So, of course, it's important to have great doctors. And while I think that we have many doctors that do our master's degree and find the knowledge they need in there, it's of course a scientific degree. So this means you focus also a lot about research that is going on that is maybe preclinical, so thinking about model organisms, what works in mice and flies and worms, which gives us indications of what could become possible for humans too. But of course, when you talk about educating doctors, a lot of them that have limited time, they want to focus on a more pragmatic sort of education. What are the top diagnostic tools they can use already? What are the sort of interventions they can do, whether they are medical or lifestyle related? This is what our CME program is for, and we are continuously adding to that in order to cover all the future and advanced therapies that are starting to shape this sector. So this is again very interesting because in the UAE, you have Abu Dhabi with a regulatory guideline that is I think very well made, but focusing a bit more on the lifestyle medicine side of things. Whereas in Dubai, you see that the DHA allows in certain cases where the clinics are specifically regulated and tested to also employ regenerative therapies like stem cells, etc. So very interesting. GCLS is also going to do, and we're working on this and going to launch it in September, courses for those healthcare professionals that work with the doctors or work in adjacent industries. So physiotherapists, nutritionists, fitness coaches, because of course, a lot of longevity really comes from the way that you live your life. And typically it's not the doctor advising you on this. They will simply say, go talk to your coach, talk to the nutritionist. They won't give you tips on how to cook and where to buy the food. So this is what we also need to educate these experts. And by the way, we're very proud that we are going to open our very first training center in China's second biggest hospital. It's an AI hospital, recently launched. So you have robots on the floors. We will have one floor dedicated to GCLS where we can train the doctors in a fellowship program. And we also do these scientific events in Dubai together with TCOM Group, which has really been a tremendous success and a lot of fun. We work together with certain governments on clinical guidelines and regulatory blueprints that can be employed in certain areas in the world. And we're also going to launch our own business journal in the future. But coming to the topic of today, and I've seen that question already asked, how would you define longevity medicine? Now, that is something that is not written in stone because I think there are many good explanations out there and definitions. To me personally, I think the biggest draw of longevity is that it's a reason for people to go see their doctor. It's an excuse for us to bombard people with new and also some old findings about how to stay healthy and how to expand not just their lives, but health span, the time of their lives where they feel good enough to do the things they love. And that, of course, means using preventative measures, to use predictive diagnostic tools, AI, because we generate so much data, we have to make sense of that, and doctors won't be able to do so on their own. And all of that is longevity medicine. So we do have like an official guideline how we define it, but it's not so important as how to define it, rather than to understand that this is an integrative, interdisciplinary field that is moving extremely fast, and it's merging technology, medicine, and lifestyle to a certain degree, and it all comes together, which is difficult. And what you see here is the typical patient journey. So whether you are in Dubai or in Switzerland or anywhere, it's always going to look like this. The doctor needs to understand you, so there will be a baseline assessment, and there will be guidelines on what you can do. On the one hand, what he can do with you in the clinic, but also you on your own, how you can improve your lifestyle in order to stay healthy or become more healthy. And that is not going to be a one-time intervention. This is a recurring, continuous process. And that makes it difficult, I think, both for the doctor and the patient. It's not something that's easy. And this is also the reason why we see lots of longevity clinic forms. And you will see all of them in Dubai. This is a wonderful place to be when you want to visit different clinics, and I do regularly to see my students, but also out of curiosity and because I get invited. So you have everything. You have the virtual clinic, essentially somebody that sends you tests to do at home, and then they also maybe sell you some supplements as sort of guidance, what you can then do. You will have the concierge physicians if they are typically more expensive, but they have a limited number of patients that they see maybe come to their homes and do everything there. You have, of course, the prestige luxury clinics, often in very nice settings or luxury hotels. And then you have your own clinics in hospitals. These exist too, like from Pure Health, Pura. Where of course you have some advantages as the clinic doing it, because you are really linked to all the diagnostic tools. And then you have wellness clinics, biohacking, sports clinics. So it's really hard to define what a longevity clinic looks like today. And it's maybe not so much the setting that you want to look for, but the right doctor. But again, with the doctor, it's difficult because it's right now not a specialization. So doctors are endocrinologists, internal medicine specialists, maybe regenerative medicine and plastic surgery specialists. Maybe they specialize in geriatrics, etc., etc. Family medicine plays a part. So again, you cannot say a longevity physician is from one specialization, because that doesn't exist. These are all experts that took time in order to continue their learning on their own. And obtain a skill set that is important. And again, it's important that you think about what's required. You have to do a lot of diagnostics. You have to personalize treatments. So there's also personality that plays a role in this, because you have to have the ability to really take time with the patient to really understand not just their history, but the history of their family, to a lot of diagnostic tests, from genetics to epigenetics to multi-omics, etc. And it has to do with mindset. You have to be passionate about preventative health. This is something that we see with all our students, the doctors, I mean, when they come to us, they are driven by the fact that they want to change the way that medicine is being done today and move it towards a preventative approach where people see their doctors when they are in good health, and the doctor works to make sure that they will stay in good health. Not, you don't go there when things start to hurt. And I think this is a wonderful excuse for us, this trend that people start going to see their doctor when it doesn't hurt. So there are, of course, different core competencies as we have defined them that are required. Let me go through them very quickly. I think this one is interesting because it shows longevity medicine, which is often portrayed as a pyramid of sorts, more of an hourglass lifestyle model, where you have a doctor as the central figure, and everything the doctor does is really guided by the diagnostics. And the diagnostics don't happen at the beginning, they happen all the time. Maybe the patient is using wearables. The doctor has to include the data, and the patient definitely comes back more often. And then the checkups continue. And the question is, should they do lifestyle intervention? Should the doctor employ dietary supplements? Is there actual medical intervention, whatever that looks like? And then, of course, there are these advanced therapies that we talked about before. So it's a really complex,
Dominik,
multi-stage process.
sorry for interrupting, but seems like your slides are not moving.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Let me see. Actually, I have been at the same one. Okay, let me stop the share. Sorry about this.
No worries. It's just we are live.
Okay, you can
Yeah,
see it now?
now we see. Yeah, now we
Wonderful. Well, the
see.
rest wasn't so interesting anyway. This was the chart that I was describing, the hourglass model of how we define how longevity medicine looks like. And the important thing here is we put the doctor in the middle, because that is really his role. He's integrating a team of experts. Very often these doctors, they don't work alone. They work together with the physiotherapists, with the nutritionist, with the coaches for exercise and lifestyle intervention. This is a big part of longevity medicine now. And of course, others. And when you look at that, you have these, what we define as core interventional services, right? So this is about precision nutrition, exercise programs, strategies, how we can address mental wellness and health and emotional health. And then you have advanced interventional services. And those, of course, it depends very much on where you're based. When we talk about this in Switzerland, it's different than in the UAE, and then it's different in China and in Malaysia, because regulatories are different. I think what's important here is that a doctor has to employ things where there is clinical proof that they can help their patients. And then, of course, it depends very much, of course, other than the legal aspects, on how he understands the patient. But it can include supplements or physical therapies like a hyperbaric oxygen chamber. You see more and more plasma exchange being used, peptides, exosomes, the stem cells everybody talks about. I mean, it doesn't really make sense to go into more detail in here and to discuss, because there's a lot of discussion going on. Is that really longevity medicine? Maybe it's used for other purposes, regenerative therapies. Maybe it's used in the context of aesthetics. Longevity clinics very often combine all these things together. But what you see here, and that is important, is the many types of diagnostics your doctor should be doing, right? We talk a lot about medical history. We talk about family history. I think especially important in GCC to understand the patient. And then there is the biome, right? Epigenome, genome, understanding whether maybe some higher risk factors waiting. You do a lot of blood work, extensive blood panels. You try to understand the patient as he or she is at the moment, right? With DEXA scan, with VO2 max, understanding what's the baseline, how good they are at sports. You have to look at their environment, mental health, and then at their lifestyle. So it's actually quite a lot. And this is, I think, one of the reasons why it's still a more expensive type of medicine, because you expect your doctor to hopefully use a lot of time to understand you, and time usually equals money to some part. And there you see the many things that need to be integrated. So technology plays a big part. There is a good reason why we talk a lot about AI and tech and apps at these conferences. And usually doctors are not super tech savvy, but I think it's growing on them because they see this as a good opportunity to stay in closer touch with their patients and to better understand them. And what's also really important, and I mentioned this before, these longevity physicians, they rarely work on their own. They always have a team around them. And whether these are people that work together with them in the clinic as their staff, or as nutritionists, dietitians, exercise coaches, mental health coaches, they can also be external, like those running those laboratories, doing the epigenetic test, the genetic test, the genetic counselors, and of course, many others. So it's really something that is quite interesting. And then there is one thing at the end that is also extremely difficult, and that is to ensure that patients actually follow up with the things that you tell them, because non-compliance in medicine is one of the biggest problems. Maybe your doctor is explaining things in a way that you don't get it, and then you want to comply but you don't. But very often you go out of the clinic and say, oh well, actually this is tough work, I was hoping he would give me a pill. The thing is, and the truth is, there are very, very few shortcuts that we have when it comes to healthy aging. It's hard work on the behalf of the doctor and yours, and I think you have to stick to that. And there, of course, are things that you can do in order to ensure that the patient complies more easily. It's more fun, whether you use apps and technology, whether you personalize the treatment in a way that it's rewarding, that it can actually work because it takes into account of what the patient does, right? And you have to motivate them, and you have to use clear language. But these are all things, and I'm happy to say that everything you heard about today is part of the curriculum that we teach in our masters and training the doctors. We work with actually a lot of doctors in the UAE, and I'm happy to say that you have some very great clinics to choose from. And yeah, it's a pleasure being here. That's from my side. I'm looking forward to the discussion afterwards.
Thank you so much, Dominik. Indeed, it was really interesting. And just in case, like, we can record once more your session so we can upload it with moving slides on YouTube. So no worries, we can
Sorry about this.
talk
Yeah.
about it later. Yeah. Meanwhile, I would like to announce our next speaker. It's Dr. Sanja Tomovska. She's also from Switzerland. She's CEO of Quant Biomarkers, venture partner at Rambam AG, as well as serving as board member of a number of startups and companies, as well as super active woman and superhero. And her topic is next-gen technologies for preventive care. So Sanja, the floor is yours. Hope you have some
Thank you very much.
share.
Good afternoon. I think is the afternoon for you, right? I mean, for us as well. At least, you know, there is no big time difference. So thank you very much, Anastasia, first for setting up this webinar. We know each other long enough, right? I think, you know, as well, we met at my first conference, so that I organized in Basel in 2021. Where the longevity was the first time eventually truly presented in Basel, including the Weizmann Institute of Science, which is one of the most famous institutes that has working on regenerative medicine many years, but also, you know, as a part of the whole ecosystem in Switzerland. So a few words about myself. So I have both academic and industry experience. I did my Ph.D. in cancer diagnostics at the University of Basel and worked at the NIH in the US. At that time, truly in a research for diagnostics, which is really what I'm doing today. Then I spent it over 20 years in understanding the translational part of science. Right? How do you develop drugs and diagnostics and actually solutions that can help to tackle that diseases rather than just studying them? So I think this is really who I am. I then have over 20 years career in Novartis, Roche, and Abbott, and many different roles. So I was leading development of products as well as commercialization. I have been a major partner for academia and biotech. So I think truly I know it inside out. So I would say from the bench till the market, this is really what I did. So maybe I just so today, and I have to say, so I might be a bit naive, so to say, to the UAE or at least to Dubai. But I have been talking to the summit of, I think there was a biotechnology summit in Riyadh, as well as I have also attended, you know, several of longevity type of projects in Saudi Arabia. So for me, you know, Dubai is still new. I also am very well aware, and you know, when you come to China and Asia, that's something that I'm going to share today, is that certainly, you know, I think this region is ahead of many regions, including Switzerland, and including the rest of the world, specifically because their technology is the next level. They also practice a lot of longevity, and I can tell because I'm an advisory board at Homansa, which is a health clinic in Hong Kong and the Greater Bay Area with 45 clinics all over the region. So the traditional Chinese medicine in terms of nutrition, as well on diagnostics and you know, many other parts of the whole longevity or the health span, is remarkable, and therefore I think that you know, into my space, I believe that collaboration in between, you know, different regions is really what we really need. So today I'm a CEO and a founder of a company. So 3.5 years ago, we founded Biomarkers that was dedicated indeed really to the early diagnostics and what I call this next generation of diagnostic. Because I believe, you know, while I have been developing therapeutics for 20 years, the diagnostics are going to be truly having a different space into the healthcare system, because even the medications we are producing, doesn't matter if it's the PD-1 inhibitor, which is one of the most famous drugs now for preventing, for treating cancer, or it is the GLP-1, which you probably is something that you know. I know that genetic diseases like sickle cell disease is something that is very present in your region. I think all of that obviously today can be addressed by many different solutions from gene therapy, but eventually really the true management of these diseases starts with diagnostics. So I decided today, so I discussed with the organizer, what should I focus on. I have a special dedication to the longevity clinic, but I think there might be some other webinars, and there I can maybe share a little bit more about this. But today, I believe will be maybe useful to share which are really the latest technologies, which I believe could be making difference into the health span. So I also was presenting just last week at the Asia Summit together with Professor Kirkland, who is doing senolytics drugs and trials. So there is a much more movement into the field in terms of, how do we use actually the current, treatments and medicine that exist and turn it around into a clinical trial to adjust their use, because I think the time for having this type of longevity drugs is also critical to show the impact. And I think, mention this, I would like to share my slides. So I hopefully, I can find to share. Yes. Can you see my slides?
It's launching. Yeah.
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 Is it
Yeah.
there?
Yes.
Right. So I think I decided to stop with a team of brain health, because this is really something which is bothering Europe, is bothering Asia, I guess the rest of the world. And everybody is looking for finding, therapies that are going to help truly, first of all, to manage dementia earlier, so that, we obviously are not going to have that challenge. But also, the major focus is on diagnostics. So today, I just also wanted to say one thing of how I understand longevity. I have heard of many forums and many educational programs, and there is a really lot happening into the field. But for me personally, as a scientist, but also as an entrepreneur, I think the longevity is a systemic, issue. It is not because it happens. It's not a target like where the biotech and other, innovations are focused on, but it is actually a connection to system biology, connection of different organs who jointly in orchestration are indicating, the state of the health of a person. So therefore, I believe that detecting one issue, it always has to open the opportunity to see something else. So, what are the trends of the longevity? I think it's the diagnostics. I am into the field. Quant Biomarkers is developing the next generation of early detection tests. We have built our research on 10 years of proteomics evaluation of a genetic disease. When you want to study the early diagnostics and biomarkers, you truly need to identify a genetic population which is clean in that sense and can give you early, that indication. And so therefore, I believe, that this is really the focus in the longevity medicine, in longevity science, in the longevity applications. I believe that, testing the blood, the genome, the microbiome, the epigenetic biomarkers is enough for the moment to identify the state of health. I'm not going to talk about the biological and chronological age, but certainly biological age is something that we can impact on, including all different, tools that are available. And the longevity clinics, which I am acquainted with, are having these very special health programs that are utilizing the latest diagnostics in the field, and therefore are able to generate a health plan, individualized one per person, taking the whole history of a person and, coming up with a suggestion that can be easily monitored. So, I think the aging brain challenge is quite clear. The life expectancy is rising, and I'm talking this about Asia because Asia is obviously, 85. I think the average by 2030 will be 85 years old. So it's a aging continent, well, together with rest of the world as well. So, I think the breakthrough in Alzheimer's diagnosis, LumiPulse, it's really a test that has been identified. I mean, it has been FDA cleared just recently in May. And, it eventually can detect the ratio between, and I think all these diagnostic tests are having a clear biological ratio between the change of two different, proteins. And therefore, I think the measures of the plasma of the proteins in the proteins in the plasma are truly indicating the risk for that disease. There is a high accuracy of 90%, a AUC of 0.81%. So, in Asia, and again, in the clinics that I'm working with, there is a personal dementia risk assessment. We work with the Hong Kong University, which is a spin-off and is a project between the longevity clinics and medical centers and the China University of Hong Kong. And therefore, you know, there is a special score and there is a whole assessment that is done not only on LumiTest, because so LumiTest is actually giving the BEAT or IAD score that quantifies the risk, the factors before the symptoms appear. And then, you know, we have the retinal imaging, which is the second portion of the information that is being done by studying, you know, a huge amount of data on many people. And then we have the MoCA, which is the cognitive treating. So just a very short, brief, you know, overview of what BEAT means. I think it's evaluation for Alzheimer's disease. It actually analyzes multiple biomarkers, and that's why I think that the biomarker field will again be on the you know, agenda for everybody. And these are some details of what type of proteins and biomarkers have been you know, considered, and then you have a combined score of single into a single report. So the retinal imaging is non-invasive, and it's analyzing the retina for cognitive health. So there is a sizes, and you can see it's very interesting to see, you know, what is happening between, you know, the people who would eventually have a genetic predisposition for this, and the people who obviously, you know, don't have it, and this is something which is really well studied. So there is a cognitive function evaluation. This is a very quick test where one assesses the memory, the executive function, the orientation, the attention, and the language or the other visuospatial skills. And so this is all, you know, helping for early intervention. I have to say, you know, that at the same time, right, and I always was thinking, what is it about the biomarkers in the longevity clinic? And I you know, curious to hear and would like to learn what are the longevity clinics in UAE using. But I think this is really just the summary of all typical type of assessment of a full assessment of a health check. You know, this is really what is usually done. So whenever the risk assessment for one type of a disease is done, then we have selection of some of this. So it's not everything, obviously, but depending really of the history of the genetic, you know, background and overall biological age of person, then, you know, the health evaluation or a check has been performed. So there are many technology-driven early detection, you know, AI diagnostics. I mean, I don't have to say, and I guess this is really a well-accepted rule. You know, the Asia is much ahead with all of that. Simply, I think, because there is a huge movement on the AI field, because of the need to have something which is scalable. Because of the huge population, right? The AI and the diagnostics is something that is just a commodity instead of, you know, being something very special, I have to say. And you know, having a personal app or a digital twin is something that is pretty normal in Asia. So there are liquid biopsies, wearables, and biosensors, you know, retinal scans, as I said, many different types of diagnostics. Yes, I think there are many different types of, you know, longevity clinic approaches in that sense. The senolytic therapies I already mentioned. Professor Kirkland is one of the most famous professors from the US. From the Mayo Clinic, he has established several protocols in treating in treatment with rapamycin. Rapamycin is coming from Novartis, the drug that has been developed for many other diseases. And so this is something that where there is a huge focus, I think, in terms of the, you know, discovery of treatments. Then stem cell therapies, I mean, MSCs are something that is being broadly investigated in Asia, more into Korea, Vietnam. Japan is leading in that space because Japan is having very open possibility for work with stem cells and MSCs. There is also engineered MSCs that has been also used in that sense for more therapeutic rather than preventive, but that gives a good stage and foundation for developing it further for longevity treatments. So I also will talk about the longevity clinic approach. There is a different ways of how longevity clinics are approaching this. And again, I think across the world in different cultures, certainly from the US to, UAE, then I guess China, Asia generally, right? I think that there is a big difference. I think the main story would have been to truly learn from each other and develop something which is applicable across different borders and regions. So another innovation that I really want to, because it is a part of somehow of the collaboration that I have with another accelerator, is the calcium isotope markers, right? I mean, one another piece, and I'm mentioning this because in the end, I will say why the combination of organ and the systemic approach to longevity makes much more sense than looking only on specific organs. So the calcium isotope, I mean, one of the biggest challenges in longevity, in generally in aging, and I'm just cautious of the time because we are having other speakers, is truly to understand the osteoporosis is something which is really quite frequent, specifically with the change of the hormones in both men and women. So we discovered the calcium is isotope, which is something natural. So it's not radioactive, it's natural, and is really showing the ratio between the isotope and calcium isotope top that is resorbed in the kidney and the one that has been into the cell. And this ratio eventually can indicate that there is a risk for osteoporosis, so that the current therapies like denosumab and many others can eventually, because if you start to treat something earlier, even if it's not only for prevention, of course, the objective will be that, but it's not always easy and scalable to screen all the people. But when you detect this, I think the therapies will be much more effective and will optimize the health state. So so in the end, I probably would like to talk a little bit more about the kidney, because I think my innovation is truly understanding the kidney, and I've been very proud that both in Asia there are several collaborations that I have established. I established one in Riyadh as well. I've been matched with a female entrepreneur to build up a joint project on kidney health, specifically in diabetic patients. So kidney has been recognized in May 2025, put it in the WHO resolution as truly a disease that needs. First of all, the prevalence is around here, it says more than 9%, but it's actually 14%. And not to mention that has been increasing because it's a very silent disease because of the hypertensive and diabetic risk factors. So where did the whole story come? And this is what we are doing as a research project together, is that eventually there is a clear shared pathophysiology between the brain and kidney connection. We realized that some of these patients, right, that have been identified and that have been studied for brain health, have also, having to have problems with their kidney. And believe it or not, some of the proteins like tau and have been eliminated through the kidney. So when the kidney has a problem because of different reasons, because of diabetes, because of cardiovascular, we might be having the kidney injury, and in that sense, we truly do not have a functional, cleansing on the tau protein, and therefore they are going back into the blood and going back to the brain. So therefore, we discussed that systemic approach for diagnosis and treatment as well, proposition of nutritional and other plans should happen holistically. So this is my team. I will finish this. So this is my team. So I have 2 people in the US. So we are truly international. 2 people in the US. Ming is a Chinese, Hong Kong Chinese. And, Amela is built, and, we're going to have a next longevity conference in Geneva. Amela is somebody who's coming from my region. So I'm Macedonian, born in Macedonia and raised in Switzerland. I want to say thank you for hearing me.
Thank you so much, Sanja. It was a wonderful speech and super interesting. And also just I would like to stress again that we are recording, and all the recordings will be sent via email with a link to the YouTube where the recording of the webinar will be uploaded. So we are moving to the next speaker, Dr. Zulya Maizetova. She's longevity clinics advisor, regenerative medicine, stem cell therapy consultant, and esteemed speaker at different longevity conferences worldwide in Monaco and in the UK. Her speech today is "The Future is Regenerative, Exploring MSC Therapy Possibilities." So Zulya, the floor is yours.
Can I start? Can I start? Can you hear me well?
Yeah, please share your slides.
Oh, great. First of all, thank you for inviting. I'm really honored to be here with all these great minds. And I'm very impressed with the previous talks. And I can't agree more with Dr. Thor that longevity medicine, first of all, it should be based on preventative approach. Because, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Because I cannot see. Okay. So
Yeah.
the preventive medicine is the basis for, it should be basis for longevity medicine. And the issue here and the challenge here, what I can see is lack of training and education. And this sense, of course, the Geneva Longevity College can support. I have started my career 30 years ago as a dermatologist back in St. Petersburg. And then during all my, let's say, career, I was learning and studying regenerative, preventative, functional medicine. So, and at the moment, I work as a consultant for the clinics who would like to establish longevity practices and also speak at Anti-Aging Medicine World Congress for a very long time. And in 2 weeks actually, I'm part of the big team, which is organizing a forum, international forum in Moscow on regenerative, preventive, and translational medicine. I'm also board of directors of association for National Association in Russia for regenerative medicine. So I have long way of studying and practicing. I have my own view. I really my mission is to deliver the knowledge for the patients, for those who would like to practice in all these subjects and information I learned over the years. So I'm talking today. 1 second, I will share the screen. I will start from the beginning. Yeah. Can you see it, everyone?
Yes.
Yeah, the future is regenerative, and I will speak about mesenchymal stem cell therapy, and I will be more maybe practical. So I will start with the question: what is the difference between these two women? Apart that, of course, difference between the aging. So, I'm not asking you to answer, so we can just think about it, and I will come up with the answer in a second. So the number of mesenchymal stem cells declining significantly over the moment of the birth, or the moment of conception, I would say, and then during the age. For example, during the childhood years, the number of stem cells per somatic cells is 1 to 10,000, for example. So on 10,000 somatic cells, which is differentiated cells, one cell is mesenchymal stem cell. So, for example, over the years, when we reach age of 50, mid-age, only one stem cells per 500,000 somatic cells. And when in advanced, with advanced age, only one cell per 2 million somatic cells, means that regenerative potential of the organism, human organism, declining significantly over the age. And this is, of course, the cause of all age-related diseases, although, for example, you're living the healthiest life possible, the regenerative potential of the body reducing. So, and I consider aging itself as a disease, and it can be treatable. So here, I would like just emphasize that not all stem cells are the same. Stem cells, it's only general word for the type of the cells which have ability to differentiate and self-renew. But the potential of the differentiation is different. For example, if it's a fertilized egg, for example, cells, they can differentiate into every tissue in the body. It's considered totipotent stem cells. When unipotent stem cells can differentiate only in one type of cells. So it means differentiation potential of the cells is very different depending on the type of stem cells. In my presentation, this short presentation, I will speak only about mesenchymal stem cells, which has multi-potential ability, means they can differentiate in a certain number, quite small number of tissues. So mesenchymal stem cells, as I mentioned, they can differentiate into bone, cartilage, fat, and muscle tissue only, depending on milieu, depending on the environment they placed in. Yet they have amazing, apart from differentiation potential, they have amazing regenerative and immunomodulation qualities. I will speak about it a bit later. And this slide I put for the reason that mesenchymal stem cells are not only, they have not only regenerative potential, they also have medicinal potential. And here I would like just to show the sources of MSCs. I will call them MSCs for short. So the sources of MSCs are the following: bone marrow, it's adult stem cells; adipose tissue, fat, it's also adult stem cells; dental pulp. Those three are source of adult stem cells. There is also perinatal stem cells, which are umbilical, Wharton jelly, placenta, and amniotic fluid. They have more or less similar regenerative potential, yet they have different qualities. So, and here the simple picture show the regenerative potential can help with neural regeneration, heart regeneration, liver, kidney, as well as helping to heal the wounds, as well as burns. Mesenchymal stem cells time to change. This is the name of the publications of Arnold Kaplan, which was my inspiration, why I got interested in regenerative medicine. Many years ago, like more than 10 years ago, I came across of his lecture on YouTube, where he was talking about medicinal stem cells. And I was thinking, what is medicinal stem cells? Apparently, is a mesenchymal stem cells. And the work and bravery he had at the time, it's back in the 80s and 90s, where scientific peer was very resistant against stem cells and regenerative medicine. And he made an amazing breakthrough, and now he's called as a father of the mesenchymal stem cells. So why he's calling stem cells as a medicinal stem cells? Because of their amazing, remarkable therapeutic potential, and also the cells represent different ways, different ways in promoting healing. Means, for example, if we take aspirin, we know a certain action of aspirin, but when we're using stem cells, the action of mesenchymal stem cells will be depending on the situation, pathological situation in the microenvironment. They will represent different action depending on the pathology. Means is a really medicinal, smart, intelligent therapy. So they also act as a cellular ductus to repair, restore, and manage a wide range of diseases. So here the functions of the mesenchymal stem cells, and they are truly remarkable. Any one single drug that can represent all of those functions. First of all, as I mentioned before, they can differentiate into various tissues and repair tissue or replace damaged or old cells. MSCs can regulate and suppress excessive immune responses. MSCs secrete certain cytokines and growth factors that can reduce inflammation and serve as anti-inflammatory therapeutics. MSCs do not trigger strong inflammation and strong immune response. Why? Because the expression of major histocompatibility complex genes are reduced in the mesenchymal stem cells. Also, HLA, human leukocyte antigen, also very weak or absent on the membrane of the stem cells. Many age-related diseases represent fibrosis or have fibrosis as a main pathological condition, and MSCs have very strong fibrinolytic action. So basically, they reduce fibrosis in the tissue, which is like pro-longevity, because the tissue become again versatile and alive. Homing effect, this is the most, not the most, but very important effect of MSCs. They have natural ability to detect where they have to go to. While they place in the body, they sense the damaged or inflammatory tissue, and they actually going via cell-to-cell communication or paracrine effect, they're going exactly to the site of damage and do the repair and regeneration action. So here, I hope I'm not very fast. So here, the difference between autologous and allogeneic stem cells, because people always ask me, I would like to do my own stem cells, and I will do this and that, and why I have to do somebody else's stem cells. So autologous stem cells are stem cells which collected from the same individual and who will do treatment. They have, of course, there is zero immunogenicity, and they're very safe. The only challenge with autologous stem cells is the stem cells actually aging. As a body aging, stem cells also undergoing certain changes, epigenetic, protein changes, and the regenerative potential of the stem cells of the aged body, depending, of course, there is no say that like after 30, your stem cells are already old. It's very individual. I have experience in my work that we did stem cells, autologous stem cells for patients over 60, and they have remarkable effect. And I have a case with the clinical case stem cells of the, let's say, patient who was like early 40s, and the person didn't have any effect. So it's all very individual. So the qualities of your stem cells will be depending on your personal case. And allogenic stem cells, there are those stem cells which obtained from the donor. And mesenchymal stem cells have very low homogeneity, which I already mentioned. Why? Because of the low MHC expression, as well as low HLA expression. This means they have less likely to become recognized by the recipient and attacked by the host immune system. MSCs can suppress immune responses, further contributing to the low immunogenicity. Further, I will speak about human umbilical cord mesenchymal stem cells. Why? Because in my opinion, they are most efficient and the safest among all MSCs. And also from the practical standpoint of view, it's very easy for the clinician use umbilical MSCs. So human umbilical cord mesenchymal stem cells are also self-renewing and have a multipotent cells with a significant regenerative potential and differentiation potential. Means, for example, if they treat arthritis or arthrosis and place interarticular interjoint tissue, will differentiate into cartilage tissue. Umbilical MSCs have the ability to differentiate into various cells, which I mentioned just earlier. They have very easy to harvest, culture, and expand, and retaining their regenerative potential and stemness. They have very low immunogenicity, allow for effective allogenic applications. They also exert their effect through the paracrine signaling, which is like communication in the body via growth factors and cytokines, inhibition of inflammatory responses, and promotion of tissue repair. So here, so what's happening actually, how we harvest umbilical cord stem cells. After clamping of the cord, the middle part of the cord is preserved, delivered to the lab. Then the cord is cut in very small pieces, and either from this culture, only stem cells are obtained, then they culture and get frozen in special tanks under the temperature of minus 196 degrees. And then they can be like banked and like maintained for a long time. The cells are needed for clinical applications. So applications, the field of regenerative medicine is very vast and growing very fast. So there are many cases that can be treated with the stem cell applications. And here I name only a few. Age-related conditions such as metabolic condition, chronic pain, orthopedic arthritis, arthrosis, and diabetes type 2, neural disorders including neurodegenerative diseases, liver, kidney, bone, cartilage regeneration, wound healing including burns, sport trauma, dermatology applications. There are many applications in dermatology. I spoke at many cases for application for the scars, tissue regeneration, atopic dermatitis, and many other conditions in dermatology. Eye diseases, including macular dystrophy, autoimmune diseases, regenerative gynecology, regenerative urology, plastic surgery, and chronic obstructive pulmonary disorders. So application in diabetes and complications. So because of the nature of diabetes, it's inflammation disorder and reduction of it's both sides. It's low sensitivity of cell membrane to receive the insulin signal, as well as degenerative condition of the pancreas. So the stem cells, mesenchymal stem cells, help with both things, restoring the sensitivity of the cells to the insulin signal, as well as regenerate pancreas to produce more insulin. So cell membrane sensitivity improvement, therapeutic effect observed in diabetic foot and diabetic neuropathy management, and significant healing in chronic diabetic wounds and reduction of diabetic complications. Effect on arthritis I already mentioned. It's very common, and I think I'm also a patient of arthritis, and I had stem cells in my knees, and I think sooner or later, maybe better than sooner, soon is better, that preventative injections or intra-articular injections of the stem cells will be, let's say, covered even under insurance, because it will save our knees and save our joints preventatively. Once a year, just injection of this stem cell therapy will prevent us from the knee replacement or hip replacements in the future. This is very powerful treatment. Liver disease, we know the cirrhosis, this is a disease of the fibrosis, in the fibrosis of the liver, and liver becomes absolutely dysfunctional, and where stem cells can help to reduce the fibrosis and restore the function of the liver. Autoimmune disease provide immunomodulatory effect on systemic lupus erythematosus, which is becoming very common among even young people. Treatment enhance survival rates and reduce disease activity. Significant imbalancing inflammation and T cell population, and decreasing production of the inflammatory cytokines. And as we know, rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, and thyroid, Hashimoto disease, it's all autoimmune disease, which is unfortunately extremely common nowadays. So brain and cerebrovascular complications is also benefit from this treatment with stem cells. As stem cells improve motor function, reduce neuronal apoptosis, they enhance neuroprotection and promote angiogenesis. Effective delivery methods include intranasal administration, which is very easy, as well as intrathecal injections directly into the site of the hypoxia and injury. Neural disorders, including neurodegenerative diseases. MSC's therapy is very helpful with stroke recovery, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, Parkinson's disease, and many other neurodegenerative conditions. Kidney regeneration, I already mentioned before, bone regeneration as well. Wound healing, this is significant improvement after burn. And as you can see, it's application of stem cells. It restores not only skin absolutely in touch, skin turns to be in touch, it's also restore hair growth on the affected skin, part of the skin. COPD, unfortunately, this is very, very, like, how can I say, severe condition when you literally cannot breathe because the tissue, lung tissue, becomes fibrosis. So basically, it's damaged by fibrosis. And of course, you cannot utilize oxygen. And these people are on oxygen support. And because of the fibrinolytic effect of MSCs, these patients can tremendously elevate this detrimental condition, I would say. My friend's mother, it's actually my former patient from London. She's suffering from this condition. Unfortunately, in UK, this treatment is not available.
Dear Dr. Zulya, I'm afraid like we are running out of time and we need
No
to...
worries, it's just challenges and stem cells banking. I just wanted to say something. Yes, I mean, this is conclusion. So mesenchymal stem cell hold remarkable potential for treating a variety of different diseases and conditions. And while clinical applications have begun to manifest positive outcomes, continued research is needed. There are many challenges in this field. As we know, first it's a cost, then it's regulatory, then it's standardization. So hopefully very soon we will overcome all these challenges. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you so much for your interesting speech, and it was super interesting. And I'm happy to announce our next speaker. It's Dr. Khadija Alawi. She's representing in silico medicine, and her speech is leveraging AI for diseases and longevity. So, Dr. Khadija, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anastasia and Techpharus, for organizing this very insightful discussion and bringing over a lot of our esteemed panel. So today our panel covered and represented clinicians, key opinion leaders in the longevity research, and we heard from clinicians actually in research with patients, advising them, guiding them, or even treating them. So I'll take us back a little bit, a step back to discovery efforts, how we leverage AI to discover targets and development of these targets that can be at the intersection of aging and diseases. So I will start by sharing my screen. Just give me a second, and here we go.
Just have your time. Yeah,
okay, I think everyone can see my screen, right?
Yep.
Perfect, thank you. So yeah, I'd just like to again thank Techpharus and Anastasia, our moderator, for organizing this event and inviting in silico medicine to join this really important and critical discussion. It's an honor to be here alongside our esteemed and distinguished panel who share our commitment to driving innovation in health and longevity. My name is Khadija, and I'm delighted to represent in silico medicine and look forward to sharing some of the key trends and developments at the intersection of artificial intelligence, anti-aging, and therapeutic innovation. So a quick introduction to in silico medicine. For those who don't know about us, please follow us on, we are present on quite a lot of social media, LinkedIn, Twitter, and others. But essentially, we are an AI-driven end-to-end drug discovery and development company founded in 2014 from Johns Hopkins University, Baltimore in the US, with the main goal of delivering effective therapeutics at record speed with artificial intelligence. Now we're considerably global. We have over 300 employees spanning the world and a strong UAE presence in Abu Dhabi, and I'll touch on that later. We've developed and built these powerful AI-driven products illustrated by the pharma.ai platform. that covers everything from finding the right target to for the right disease, all the way to clinical trial optimization. We have a robust clinical pipeline with over 30 programs targeting 29 disease areas. And this is supported by an extensive and a really strong publication record with industry validation. Our technology and our platforms are used widely by many of the world's largest pharmaceutical companies, academics, biotech, startups, and even independent researchers. And along the way, we've received multiple top industry awards and accolades for really innovating and driving the AI-driven drug discovery efforts. And the reason that we at InSilico and many others are trying to leverage AI in drug discovery is that this is a very challenging area, and the traditional approach is known to be very painfully slow process that can take over many years, and sometimes even decades, to just get from the starting point to the early clinical trials and reaching the patients. With our Pharma AI platform, we've been able to radically accelerate this process. And here you can see our journey for one of our leading drug candidates for idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis. Instead of years, we've moved from discovering a promising biological target to starting clinical trials in less than 30 months. This is typically like at least less than half the time it usually takes in the traditional approach. And each major step, from identifying the disease target to optimizing the compound and validating its effects, was streamlined and powered with artificial intelligence. And I don't need to say that this does sound like a real game changer, and ultimately it will result in faster drug development, lower costs, and ultimately a hope for patients who can't afford to wait. And I'd just like to sort of present to you an overview of how we achieve these breakthroughs. At InSilico Medicine, we don't just use AI. We built a whole toolkit of specialized AI platform for drug discovery scientists, biomedical researchers, and the whole spectrum of life sciences, really. Think of it as a suite of digital lab partners that can help you understand biology, design new molecules, predict how drugs will behave, and even help plan more effective clinical trials. For example, PandaOmics, it is our flagship target discovery platform, helps us find promising new targets and biomarkers for disease. So these molecules that are basically playing a detrimental role in the affected tissue or systematically in the whole body. PandaOmics identifies these hidden connections and brings forward the most promising targets for development and further investigation. Next, we have Chemistry 42 that invents new drug-like molecules almost instantly using generative AI and a host of modules and algorithms. And everything we do is about combining the latest in generative AI with deep scientific knowledge and domain expertise. It's ultimately, if you can think of it, as giving scientists superpowers for research. And of course, the ultimate validation in all of our products and platform is in the results shown in the therapeutic pipeline. On the right-hand side here, you can see a rich therapeutic pipeline that we've built using these panel of software. Each bar shows a new potential medicine, many discovered and designed by AI, and they are also advancing through the drug development process. And several of these candidates have reached human trials and successfully read out very promising early phase studies. So for example, today I'll talk a little bit about idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis, but everything you can see here is annotated quite nicely with the human, illustrating drugs that have reached clinical patients, whether it's in the early phases or phase 2, and the others that are in the sort of the earlier phase in the preclinical studies with the animal models and IND enabling. So in short, we're not just talking about AI helping research in theory, we're putting it to work and generating new medicine much faster than was ever possible. So how can AI really find drugs that work in aging and disease? This is something perhaps might be a new concept to people, but however, of course, needlessly to say, aging is one of the most complex biological processes that we all will face. You've heard a lot today from our panel about different approaches for aging, to mitigate aging. We've heard from Dr. Zulya with sort of stem cell derived, but right now we're talking about targeting aging in this dual approach. So within aging and diseases, there's some common players, common signatures that perhaps there could be a drug, either new or something that can be repurposed, that will hit these two pipelines together and therefore be useful for aging and diseases as well. And AI is basically helping us to decode the secrets of aging by analyzing massive data sets to find patterns that we could never detect manually. And we're using AI to identify biomarkers of aging, for example, enabling us to measure biological age more accurately. And we can then test interventions that could slow, stop, or even reverse certain aspects of aging. Now you might wonder, how does AI actually help us find targets that could work for both aging and disease? So traditionally, scientists have defined the several known hallmarks of aging. These, you can think of them as these as core critical processes in our cells that drives both aging and also share this feature in many other diseases. Some, like DNA damage or loss of cell balance, are so-called primary culprits or the primary hallmarks of aging. Others, such as faulty energy production or aged cells that don't function properly, actually result from our body trying to fix that damage. Finally, these changes can build up and lead to bigger problems like loss of stem cells or poor cell-to-cell communication. By using AI and machine learning, we can piece these pieces of the puzzle together and see how all of these hallmarks interact. This helps us to deeply understand which processes to target and design medicines that not only slow down aging, but could also treat diseases that are linked to it. And you will see that in this slide here, where we use pandaomics to map the hallmarks of aging and find specific traits that are common between aging and several aging-associated diseases. And we use pandaomics to analyze this signature and search for targets that could impact both aging and major diseases. Using this approach, we prioritize 145 promising targets that are important, not just in one disease, but across multiple conditions linked to aging. Most of these targets are involved in inflammation or how cells manage genetic damage, but notably, we also identified several targets that could be explored for drug repurposing. So these are targets that have already approved treatments in the clinic, and perhaps this can just accelerate and make the most of existing therapies in new ways. And the chart here shows how these targets are connected to various different hallmarks, with the most promising ones highlighted in the core. So what's really exciting is how quickly and cost-effectively AI helped us pinpoint these high-value targets, offering many new options for future therapies. Now I'd like to talk about some of the core technologies that can make AI-driven approaches possible. First of all, we have pandaomics. This is our AI engine for target and biomarker discovery. And as mentioned before, it can really help us to identify which gene and protein can modulate the underlying disease biology and potentially reverse or slow down how diseases progress. It incorporates a massive corpus of patient-centric omics data. So multi-omics, we're talking about proteomics, transcriptomics, metabolomics, and many others. But on top of that, it's coupled with prior scientific knowledge and data. We use these interchangeably and leverage this engine that comes with over 20 different AI models to identify the most promising and safe target candidates. Next, Chemistry 42 takes these target information and designs entirely new drug molecules using advanced generative algorithms. It evaluates thousands of options, checking things like chemical structure, safety, and how this drug might behave in the body. And finally, we have LifeStar One, which is our fully automated laboratory system where AI-driven ideas are quickly tested in a fully autonomous system with high-speed screening cascades and advanced cell systems and imaging. By connecting all of these, and of course, and more, we've essentially built a seamless AI-powered platform, helping us to develop medicines faster for both aging and also many other devastating diseases. As a leading case study, I wanted to show you how we use generative AI to discover an entirely new medicine, one with the potential to treat not just one condition, but a broad range of diseases tied to aging. We started by using AI to find targets that are implicated in both aging and fibrosis. And here we identify TNIC, a primary target implicated in aging and fibrosis. Next, our platforms designed a brand new molecule, rentasertib, to hit this target safely and precisely. We quickly tested and optimized rentasertib, moving it all the way from initial hypothesis to successful clinical trial in under 5 years. Rentasertib is now showing promise in human trials for serious lung disease, idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis, which is a debilitating lung condition that is ultimately fatal with a huge unmet clinical need. We and others have also pinpointed TNIC as a master player in other diseases, such as diabetes, cancers, and Alzheimer's diseases. Partly thanks to its very unique mechanism of action that contributes and plays a role in these various diseases, as mentioned before. The whole process from discovery all the way to clinical trial was powered by our AI and automated lab system, making it dramatically faster and more efficient than traditional drug discovery. And now I'm excited to highlight our UAE chapter, where a lot of these developments and discoveries were bred in-house. So our UAE chapter is a significant milestone as in silico medicine established its AI-powered research and development hub in Abu Dhabi Master City. This regional headquarters not only marks our commitment to advancing innovation in the region, but also serves as a central driver for both local and global collaboration. Since opening our R&D center in 2023, the UAE team, in partnership with our global colleagues and internal and external collaborators, have contributed to major scientific achievements and advancements, including several high-impact publications that you probably saw in my previous slide. For example, the publications featured here, plus many others, not shown for just the purpose of keeping this focused on aging and TNIC per se. They feature work led and supported by our UAE colleagues, showcasing the power of international collaboration. Most importantly, we're seeing direct impact, the first in human studies on an AI-discovered anti-fibrosis medicine with clinical data, anti-aging, and last but not least, an upcoming next-generation homegrown anti-cancer discovery that will spin out from this region. And of course, our efforts have been recognized locally as well with the award of the Health Innovation Trailblazer Award from the UAE Genetic Disease Association. In short, the UAE chapter is accelerating biotech innovation, and not just for the region, but for the whole world, and we're only just getting started. As a case study of some of our regional achievements, I wanted to illustrate our TNIC publication showing the first AI-discovered antifibrotic target. So here we took the target all the way from discovery of a brand new target to early stages of clinical development. The publication is featured here. I'm happy to share these as well later, but essentially using AI, we sifted through huge data sets from lung fibrosis patients, identified TNIC as a key target, as you can see here, with the really strong ranks and scores across multiple different AI models. And then we designed new molecules against this target using our generative chemistry platform. And the most promising compounds were quickly tested in the lab and in animal efficacy models, leading to a new treatment option that has already reached phase 2 trials. Next, I want to highlight another major breakthrough. We've now confirmed the anti-aging effect of rentasertib and TNIC inhibition, validating what our AI models and computational analyses predicted. For the first time, we're seeing clear results from established cell models that mimic advanced aging with robust experimental evidence. Again, this publication is available online, was published in February of this year. And again, it illustrates another example of how AI-driven approaches, powered in part by our UAE team, can lead to rapid and impactful breakthroughs. Using our automated robotics and advanced multi-omics analysis, we were able to quickly validate rentasertib's strong anti-aging effects in the lab. Not only is it now in phase 2 trials, as mentioned before, but it's also showing the ability to reduce, in this specific case study, to reduce key markers of cellular aging, this senescence essentially, suggesting much broader potential in age-related diseases showing how AI-driven drug discovery can deliver real validated impact in longevity. And last but not least, I want to illustrate our seminal and breakthrough publication that is just very recent, published in June 2025, just last week, I believe, and in Nature Medicine, no less. And Nature Medicine has actually featured this as the first ever phase 2A results from an AI-designed drug, making a true milestone for the field. Now, if we look at it as a sort of a quick sneak preview of the data, and again, I would really recommend reading the full article, which has the entirety of the data published and available online. It's open access. So yeah, I just want to wrap up with some of the key clinical results published recently, as mentioned, and where we show that from IPF patients, from these patients, increasing doses of our AI-discovered target and molecule, rentecertib, led to a clear dose-dependent improvement in lung function for patients, showing a positive trend compared to placebo in just 12 weeks. In just 12 weeks, these patients nearly had 100 milliliter improvement in their lung capacity and function, while those on placebo showed the typical deterioration in lung function that, unfortunately, patients that are diagnosed with IPF have to go through. Next, we used high-throughput proteomics technology on the patient blood samples before and after treatment. And we can see here that rentecertib also significantly reduced key biomarkers of these proteins that promote fibrosis or tissue stiffening. And we can see that these proteins were significantly reduced in the treated patients, and also a nice dose-dependent drop in the more well-known profibrotic proteins, which are closely linked to the disease progression. So altogether, these results highlight rentecertib's dual impact, measurable improvement in patients' lung function, and robust biological evidence that this molecule is actually modulating the disease process itself and may potentially offer disease-modifying effects. Finally, I want to close by reminding our audience of a leading research meeting now in its 12th year. So coming up in Copenhagen, I recommend all of you to go there. This conference will feature more than 150 speakers with thousands of attendees, thousands of scientists, researchers attending every year at the University of Copenhagen. It's a non-profit event with both startups, big pharma presence, coupled with academics, key opinion leaders. So it's really a platform to create dialogue between academics and pharma to utilize advances in aging research for healthy longevity. And with this, I'd like to thank you for your attention, and I'll stop sharing.
Thank you so much. It was really interesting, and we'll be happy to also support your conference. And here, like the last but not the least, Dr. Mazin Gadir, if Mazin is with us, because he was about to be leaving soon. Mazin?
Yes.
Yeah?
Hi, how are you guys? Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah. Let me just quickly announce you. So Dr. Mazin Gadir is a director at Alvarez and Marshall's Healthcare. He's going to deliver his speech about new health economy trends in 2025, reinnovating in an industry against headwinds and turbulent climate. So thank you for this.
Sure. Thank you, Anastasia. Eid Mubarak and many happy, wonderful Eid wishes, longevity wishes to everybody coming out of Eid. Look, I mean, I think I only have 2 minutes and I want to just be quick, but I'd love to quickly just point your attention that the previous speakers have nailed it. I think the science is amazing. There's a lot to uncover, and I think the economy of longevity, and I've just put a title, a simpler title. The economy of longevity is evidently a huge shift and paradigm shift for health, from sick care to proactive and preventative health span care, or health span objective for a long healthy life. My point, or I put some logos there going around the world in the last few weeks, attending major conferences in Africa and Geneva, where the World Health Assembly, attending also the Saudi event on Global Health Span Summit organized by Evolution. has given me a lot of food for thought. And I think as a wrap up for this amazing session, I think from a scientific point of view, as the scientists and the scholars have mentioned earlier, they're amazing. Just to let you know, I'm a quantum physicist by background. My PhD was in quantum physics, specifically on quantum sensing and how we can use the power of quantum technology and advancing healthcare from multiple angles. And I came across this idea. So when I look at quantum technology and longevity, I think the area of quantum biology is another new area where we can actually bring in capabilities that have worked and researched in quantum electronics to advance the science of aging, the science of health span. You can see the topic of longevity has been popping up in the last 5 months quite drastically and continuously. I think also announcement like the health, endurance, longevity, and medicine cluster in Abu Dhabi Global Health Week, which is a huge shift in the way healthcare is being administered and providing a depth of research. Where Abu Dhabi is predicting that longevity or the Helm cluster will add at least $25 billion worth of economic growth in the GDP, allowing for attracting over $11 billion of investment by 2045, creating 30,000 jobs and vacancies. But what I'm trying to say is that longevity is not just about the service provision, the latest technologies and the latest therapies, but it's also about the whole economy of longevity. What is the ecosystem? We need to ask questions. What about accessibility and equity? Who's allowed to actually get access to targeted therapies, for example, to try and advance longevity? What are the ethics and regulation that will rotate around longevity? What about the talent and research? Do we have enough talent? I did a quick research, by the way, just to try to understand what are the most a number of research, which country has the most number of research papers and scientific publications in the area of longevity? And guess what? In the top 10, it always starts with the US. Even though US is cutting funds for research and pulling out in making the lives of research institutes like Harvard Medical School hard by cutting their funds and budgets, they're still the most research institutes in the world in the area of longevity and personalized medicine. China comes closely second. And if you look at CNN, I think CNN had an amazing a report about the nature index for the top academic institutions. Out of the top 10, there are nine institutions from China, meaning the helm or the secret sauce in longevity and personalized medicine is R&D, and that's why I'm very proud to see initiatives like the Helm initiative in Abu Dhabi. I'm seeing also in Saudi they are increasing the number of grants in for research to be over $400 million for longevity and health span. And in a summary, I'm going to stop at this stage. But in a summary, the US is cutting budgets and cutting funds for research, and I think it's the time for our region to step in and take a leadership position. And I'm glad to hear Dr. Khadija, about the great examples that she has come up with. Dr. Zulya also bringing in amazing examples of initiatives that are taking place. But also, we need to remember the role of academia, and that's why I call upon Marwan and his amazing ecosystem and network of universities to start stepping up their activities to deepen the research part. There are a lot of great initiatives. Abu Dhabi is leading the way, Saudi is leading the way, and I think Dubai is also doing a great job to bring in longevity as an economy with depth, not just service provision, not just commercializing longevity, but also looking at scientific research, speeding up drug discovery, growing talent from this region. and offering it to the world. This is my last slide. I don't think I want to keep you any further, but thank you so much for having me. We'll talk about quantum biology and its effects on aging in my next webinar, and I'll be more than happy to share more insights. But thank you for having me, Anastasia.
Thank you so much, Mazin. It was great and interesting, quite short speech. So we are moving to a short Q&A session as we are running a bit of time, so it will be short. And so I encourage everyone to turn on the camera. And also, like, two of our speakers had to leave, unfortunately, like Mazin, Marwan Abdulaziz and Dr. Sanja Tomovska, but hope that we still have an interesting audience. So we are focusing first on questions from our audience during the webinar because like we are interactive. The first question is from Stephen Victor. So how do you define longevity? Who wants to answer? You're muted.
First of all, yes, first of all, regards to Stephen Victor, we know each other personally. So, longevity, I think he knows better than anyone from our kind of team today, because he's a great representative of the healthy longevity, implementing stem cells for a very long time. So basically, I believe longevity is our way of implementing everyday practices in our life, which will help you to build up our vital resources, physical, psychological, emotional, plus preserving our environment to support those resources, because 90% of our health depending on the environment we are live in. So when we know how to preserve our environment, so the body will be, we don't need to do anything. The body will regenerate and live happily and healthy by itself. But unfortunately, this is the biggest issue, the medicine, our environment.
Okay. Dominik, do you have anything to add?
Well, I think that was a wonderful summary. The question may actually hint at the fact that, of course, a lot of people, when they talk about longevity, start to think about doctors, researchers in the field just wanting to extend lives, which is, of course, not true. The target really is healthy longevity, really to increase health span, improving our lives in the later years, especially. So it's about quality of life. It's about staying healthy and active even in your later years. And it's not just about living longer. And I think this is one of the criticisms often used by people that are not really familiar with the field, saying, oh, I don't want what these guys have to offer because, you know, I've seen my grandmother live for a long time and she didn't enjoy her life. So I think he might be referring us to that healthy aging, healthy longevity, health span.
Thank you. Thank you. Amazing. So the next question is again from Stephen Victor. What do you think about famous biohackers, especially Gary Becker, Ultimate Human, and some others?
Well, I was just in Stockholm 2 days ago at the conference that was hosted by, I think, the most famous biohacker we have at the moment. And there was also somebody on stage who I value a lot, Brian Kennedy. And he said, it's wonderful that we live in a world where we have suddenly millionaires and billionaires as our lab rats, trying out these things that you couldn't possibly test on humans as of now. So, well, I think the NS1 kind of clinical test is not very informative. So I'm all for doing it the right way. But of course, these guys, they go to extreme length and there could be something there. Generally, I try to stick and only endorse what has been clinically valid and tested in order to ensure that it's safe and actually working. And sometimes without, you know, having examples of these gentlemen here in mind, but generally speaking, when you see biohackers that try to share their knowledge across social media, at least it gets abbreviated a lot. So if you have a very short Instagram video, I think this is not the kind of information to act on when it comes to your health. You should rather see your doctor and invest a little bit more time.
Thank you. Any add-ons? Oh, we are fine. Okay, the next is from Dr. Anna Baroni. I believe it's for Dr. Zulya, probably. What scientific evidence supports the use of preventive intra-articular mesenchymal stem cells?
Mesenchymal stem cells. A lot of publications presented with their all data present, which safety and positive results of the implementation of intra-articular MSCs. It's available, this service is available in many countries, including UAE, Japan, South Korea, Panama, Turkey, quite a few. Japan, I mean, they are really advanced in this treatment, as well as Malaysia, by the way. So practically speaking, when the tissue is inflamed. So me, the one who is actually advancing before implementation of any stem cell therapy, we have to prepare the microenvironment. But this is subject for the very big topic, because I am emphasizing that stem cell therapy, not the ultimate treatment. This is supporting treatment. You have to deal with inflammation. We have to do the preparing the the microenvironment, including the gut health, vascular health, and so forth. The stem cell therapy going as additional treatment, not the ultimate treatment, not the single treatment. So, I mean, the evidence is there, publications are there.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And probably like the last question now, if Dominik is still with us, is about how does the UAE compare with markets like the Switzerland in terms of longevity, innovation, and adoption?
Well, I think that when you look at those markets where longevity seems to be trending the most, then they have some shared characteristics. One of them is, I think, one of the criticisms rightly expressed very often is that this is a very expensive form of medicine or science. And of course, this goes back to the fact that you expect your doctor to spend a lot of time analyzing you as a person, and hopefully you come back more often. And this is sort of an interactive relationship and a treatment regime. Now, these countries are they have a lot of affluent people that can afford this kind of medicine. So I think this is why we see more and more clinics opening up both in Switzerland and the UAE. The difference, of course, is that from a healthcare perspective, the UAE is a very young country. And I think it may be a bit more open towards future-orientated fields of science than Switzerland, that may be called a bit more conservative. It has a wonderful medical system. Life expectancy is very high. So I think you get a lot of good medical attention from your doctors. But obviously, this makes it a bit harder when you talk to people in charge, policymakers or regulatory officials, to get them excited about the promises of longevity science. In the UAE, it's different. You have a let's call it a genetic predisposition to an early onset of some age-associated diseases. And therefore, I think people are much more open to these kind of interventions. And you see that in the fact that Abu Dhabi has launched a regulatory guideline for this, and DHA is I think more willing to also endorse stem cell treatments, etc. So I think it's a bit different. When you look further east, it seems to be more progressive the further east you go. We heard that before today. And hopefully we can foster this, cooperation and collaboration between the two countries through events like the one that we did together with Dubai Science Park this year in February, and other initiatives, because this was also been mentioned before today. It's only through collaboration that we can actually advance, and there are always two sides to a story, and it makes sense. I think both the more reserved and slower pace that some people take. And then, of course, it's good to have others that are more, forward thinking.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It was like the last question for today, as we are about a bit running out of time, but we see there were some more questions, and so feel free to reach out to us. Subscribe to all our speakers. All the links have been announced in the chat, as well as follow us on LinkedIn. And we hope to have more webinars and invite our speakers for the future. And hope it was interesting. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Anastasia.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. Goodbye, everyone.
Have a good evening, everyone.